Hi guys, pardon my post-gym shower hair, but I really need to do a video. So this video is mainly dedicated / aimed, let's say aimed, at Lachlan from the other day. Lachlan's doing very, very well, but sometimes things just don't get in people's heads. So this is a video I've done before. I will attach the other video underneath which talks about the same topic. Let's just go over it in a bit more detail. If you find this kind of thing useful, please click like, please subscribe. Please also remember I have a Kofi link underneath. You know, I do all this for free to help you. I would appreciate a little coffee for, you know, £3, $3. It's very much appreciated, and I do drink them. Additionally, remember that I have podcasts available for reading, writing, listening, A-level revision and the vocab. So off we go. We're talking about words that we place before nouns in a sentence. In other words, the general fucking confusion that kicks in, du versus de la versus des versus all of that stuff, okay? Just let them go past because otherwise I'm going to be concentrating on what they're saying. Good, so 1 second, let's just cross the road so we don't die. So I'm going to go over the rules and we're going to see what happens. So first things first, the male word for the is le. The female word for the is la. The plural word for the is les, les, and the word for the, when you are following it up with the vowel, is l, okay? So le, la, les, l, okay? The male word for some, okay, in French, is generally the de plus the. So that would be du. De plus le gives me du. I'm not saying that is the only time that we will say du in French. We will say it very commonly when we have de and le together. So for example, I am coming from the market, alors je viens du marché, because it's je viens de le du marché. The only time in French we don't join de and le is when the le represents a person, as in I've just seen him. Je viens de le voir. Je viens de le voir. So apart from that, when you have de and la, it will be du. De and la, that's fine. De la. De and les, well, that will always become des. Yeah, des. Apart from, again, like I've just said, when you have the les representing a person, so or a pronoun. So I've just seen them. Je viens de les voir. Okay, so it doesn't have to be a person. Ignore me on that. It just means is it a pronoun representing somebody rather than the word the. So far then we've got le, la, les, l for the words for the, du, de la, des, and de l when we're going to put them together. Now that doesn't mean that every single time that we put those together it means the word some. Sometimes, just incidentally, in your French, you look amazing. Oh my god, you look freaking badass. Look at that. You look so cool in a Jubilee-tastic way. Oh my god, man, wicked. Freaking love London. So let's be very, very clear. The way that you say some, du, de la, des, or de le, is a combination of the word de and the word the. There are other ways of saying some. Quelque is a very common one. Quelque is kind of like few, a few. So I'm going to go and buy a few apples. Alors je vais acheter quelques pommes. So let's not get confused, but you will have also heard that word quelque when it's formed with another word to make something, somebody, somewhere. For example, quelqu'un, quelque chose, quelque part, quelquefois, sometimes. But let's stick to our the words, le, la, les, l, and our some words, du, de la, des, and de l, de, new word, l apostrophe, all right? So if you need to say some in French, that is generally what you're going to go with, the du, de la, des, de l option. But that doesn't mean that to use those, you need to hear the word some. Is that absolutely clear? For example, in your English, you could say a sentence which doesn't contain the word some, and you will wind up using the freaking du, de la, des crap as follows. All right, so off we go. Let's talk. If in your English you hear the word the, if in your English you hear the word the, masculine, singular, feminine, plural, all of these different concepts, you will respect most of the time the presence of the word le, la, les. Okay, so I'm going to buy the coffee, the specific coffee that you mentioned. Alors je vais acheter le café. I'm going to buy some coffee. You can hear the word some in English, so you can go quite happily to your du, de la, des or de le, and the only thing you need to decide on is gender, male or female, plurality, singular or plural, and whether or not it starts with a vowel, as in like de le something, all right? So the water, l'eau, some water, de l'eau, the children, les enfants, some children, des enfants. So far, so, you know, straightforward, because you've got the words in the English telling you what you're going to be using in the French. So where things get problematic is when you don't hear in English the word some or the, and you're left on your fucking lonesome trying to work out what it's going to be. So if I said, for example, I think I'm by the Welsh Centre, am I not? I used to walk around here loads. If I said, for example, I am going to buy coffee, that's the situation I'm on about. We're not hearing the coffee, I'm not hearing some coffee. So what do I say? If in French I'm going to say journalists, no, I always pick on journalists. Yeah, let's pick on journalists. Journalists, estate agents, let's pick on estate agents. Estate agents are assholes, okay? I'm not saying the estate agents, I'm not saying some estate agents, I'm not saying that in the English. So this is the dilemma that we face. So let's now go over the rules. So rule number one then is if you hear the in English, most of the time you will get to use it in the French. It might get added to another word, like to the, à la, or au, A-U-X, or from the, de le, becoming du, de la, or des. So in other words, you might wind up with a du, de la, des anyway. Yep. So lots of the people that I know, beaucoup de les gens, beaucoup des gens. Okay? So even though you can hear the word the in the English, you're not going to use the, you're not going to use du, even though you can hear the word the in the English, you're not going to use le, la, les specifically in the French, because you've obviously got to stick it next to your a or your de. I'm going to speak to the women, alors moi je vais parler aux femmes. I'm not hearing les femmes because it's à les femmes. So there are exceptions, but you're acknowledging the presence of that word the. So let's talk about the rules then. Rule number one.
Covered like back in the day. Yeah.
Rule number one. If you've got the word the and some in English, respect them. All right? If you hear the or some, largely you're going to be going with le, la, les, le, au, du, de la, des, de le. Rule number two. If you are speaking across the board, I know it's really lame, but can you remember this, the system, across the board, meaning generally speaking about that noun, across the board, generally that noun, as in, for example, I like coffee, I like chocolate, as in across the board. I obviously tend to prefer a black coffee. I obviously tend to prefer dark chocolate. I'm not one for sweet stuff, but you know, whatever. Generally, I like coffee, I like chocolate. J'aime le café, j'aime le chocolat. Okay? There's no the in the word English. I like coffee, I like chocolate. But because I'm speaking across the board, I'm going to use the word the. Okay? I like Spanish people, generally. Oui, j'aime bien les Espagnols. The, across the board, the across the board, the. Okay? Next rule. If I have one of the following three situations, there are more, but I don't want to complicate things, then I'm going to use de. Quantity, lots of, beaucoup de, there are lots of children. Il y a beaucoup d'enfants, not des enfants. Too many children, trop d'enfants. Too many friends, trop d'amis, trop d'amis. Fewer friends, said by plebs that don't know grammar as less friends. So fewer friends, moins d'amis. More cake, less cake. Too much cake, no such thing. Trop de gâteaux, beaucoup de gâteaux. We will use a de there. So if you are talking about quantity, a specific quantity, a glass of water, un verre d'eau, because it's a glass of water, you're telling me the quantity. A cup of tea, une tasse de thé, because you're telling me the quantity involved of the tea, okay? So that will use de. That's rule number 1 for de. Just de. No du, de la, de, just de. When else will I use de? Rule number 2, if I have a negative verb. So I don't have any tea. J'ai pas de thé. I haven't got any coffee. J'ai pas de café. I'm not buying coffee. J'achète pas de café. I'm not doing any work. Je fais pas de travail. So after a negative verb, I mean, if I really specifically want to say I'm not doing the work that you told me, alors je fais pas le travail, fine. And why am I using that word the? Because as I said, I'm using the word the in the English, yeah? So je fais pas de travail is generally I'm not doing any work, all right? So rule number 1, when do we use de? When we have a quantity, yeah, a specifically mentioned quantity. Rule number 2 would be when we have a negative verb. Rule number 3 would be when we have a preceding plural adjective. So they are going to build houses. Ils vont construire des maisons blanches. Let's not worry about why it's des for the moment. So sorry, they're going to build houses. Ils vont construire des maisons. They are going to build new houses. Ils vont construire des nouvelles maisons. They're going to build new houses because nouvelle is one of your adjectives which goes before a noun. Now there are not many adjectives which go before a noun. As you know, they tend to be small, large, young, old, that kind of thing. But if you have a plural version of an adjective which goes before a noun, then you will use de, not des. So for example, long legs, de longues jambes. Beautiful legs, de belles jambes. Yeah. New houses, de nouvelles maisons. Okay. So far then, reasons to use de, we've got after a quantity with a negative verb, and when we've got a preceding plural adjective. That means an adjective which goes before the noun. Now there are other things when you use the de that I don't want to complicate you with. That's a little bit more to do with possessive versus descriptive. So things like the student handbook, alors un livre d'étudiant, because it's a description of what the book is. It's a book for students, alors un livre d'étudiant, livre de poche, as opposed to a possessive, the student's book, you know, le livre de l'étudiant. So that's a little bit more grammatically different, and that comes into play with countries a little bit as well. De France, Van de France, rather than like, you know, le sud-ouest de la France. There's a few separate rules on that, and that warrants its own video. If you're talking about de with countries versus de la with countries, I will do another video on that because that's a little bit more complicated. But generally then, let's put that one to one side for the moment and say our 3 rules for de when we use de are, do you remember them? Quantity, negative verb, after a negative verb, or when we've got a preceding plural adjective. So far then we are saying we're going to use the word the if we hear the word the, or if we're talking across the board. We're going to use de if we have a quantity, a negative verb, or if we've got a preceding plural adjective. So I'm now going to say something which sounds really, really random. Pretty much most other situations in French are going to go to du, de la, des, and de le, because it's none of those. It's none of the rest. So I want you to think that your go-to, your de facto, your automatic one to go to is du, de, la, des. So let's have a go. I'm going to buy water. I'm going to buy water. Step number 1. Can I hear the presence of the word the or some in my English? No. Step 2. Am I mentioning a specific quantity? No. So it's not de. Is it negative? No. Is there a plural preceding adjective? No. So by default, I go to my du, de, la, des option. This is when I talked about it's better to have 2 chocolate bars given the choice. So I will give you a chocolate bar every time you say the word the. I will give you a chocolate bar every time you say the word de. And if you could give me both of them together, de le becoming du, de la, des or de le, yay, 2 chocolate bars are better than 1. I did extend this nugget of brilliant grammar to somebody once, and she said, oh, I couldn't eat 2 chocolate bars. Have the fucking chocolate bars and put one in the refrigerator. Okay, so I'm going to buy water. Therefore, je vais acheter de l'eau. I'm offering you some water. De l'eau. Now you might go, oh, it's because you say some water. Fine. On that occasion, you could say some water. What's the rule? If you hear the word some in English, you use du, de, la, des or de l'eau unless it's a plural quelque. You can swap des for quelque, only the plural. Let's do another one. A cup of coffee. A cup of coffee. Une tasse de café, because it's a quantity. A cup of coffee. Une tasse de café. A cup of coffee. Une tasse de café. You might not think of a cup as a quantity, but it's telling me how much coffee. If it were, I want a cup of the coffee that you recommended, as in the specific one, that Colombian, Java, whatever, okay, then yeah, because what's my rule? If you hear the, alors oui, je veux une tasse du café que tu as recommandé, whatever, that you recommended, okay? Because it's specifically that cup of the, we're hearing the word the, okay? I'm going to buy coffee. Je vais acheter du café. I'm not saying I'm going to go and buy all coffee. I'm not saying about I haven't said a specific quantity. I haven't said a specific quantity, nor is it negative, nor is it off with the preceding direct object. So yeah, je vais acheter du café. I listen to music. J'écoute de la musique. You guys always want to say la musique. It's not music in general at the moment. If it's I'm listening to music, alors j'écoute de la musique, because it's not all music in general. I could say, well, I'm listening to some music. Music would be singular, feminine, but it's because I'm not talking about all music in general. I haven't said the word the in English, therefore j'écoute de la musique. He said lots of nice things. Don't a lot of people. He said lots of nice things. Il a dit beaucoup de belles choses. Il a dit beaucoup de belles choses. Because a lot, let's swap the side of my bag so that my discs don't die. A lot is a quantity. So, il a dit beaucoup de belles choses. De there, because it's a quantity. He doesn't say nice things, he says horrible things. Il dit pas de belles choses. Now, de there would be de before belles choses for 2 reasons. You're not giving me a quantity, but you've got a negative verb. And you've also got an adjective, a plural adjective, which goes before the noun. So, ouais, il dit pas de belles choses. Okay? He says horrible things. Il dit des choses horribles. Because we're not talking about all things. We're not talking about a specific quantity of things. So we go to our option, our automatic go-to, du, de, la, des. Ouais, il dit des choses horribles. Yeah? He said too many horrible things. I can't forgive him. Il a dit trop de choses horribles. He said too many, il a dit trop de choses terribles. Because after the trop, which is a quantity, we have a de. I'm going to buy garlic. Am I buying all the garlic? Hell no. French or not. Je vais acheter. Am I giving you a specific quantity of garlic? Be very careful because in your brain you might be visualizing a specific quantity of garlic. Alors moi je vais acheter. Moi je vais acheter de l'ail. Yep. If you go, oh, it's because it's some garlic. That's not why we're finding it. It's because we're not saying all the garlic. Yeah, we're not saying all the garlic, and we're not saying a quantity of garlic, and we're not saying negative verb. So most of the time we will go with the du, de la, de. So I kind of could, or de la, I kind of could have done this video where I had a little flag, and every single time it went to du, de la, de la, I could have waved the flag. So let's just use my hand now instead of the flag. So I gave Lachlan the other day, I'm going to meet French people. Alors moi je vais rencontrer des Français. Yeah, because it's not all French people. Oui, je vais rencontrer des Français. I told him I'm going to meet young people. Oui, je vais rencontrer des jeunes. I'm using jeune as a noun there. Ah oui, alors je vais rencontrer des jeunes. Yeah, du, de la, des. Not all people, not all young people. I'm going to meet young French people, which I could, you know, duplicate the jeunes. Oui, alors je vais rencontrer de jeunes Français. Why de? Because it's a preceding plural noun. Oui, alors je vais rencontrer de jeunes Français. Too many young French people. Trop de jeunes Français. Because it's after quantity, I'm going to have a de. Because it's after quantity, I'm going to have a de. There's not enough young. This guy's got the coolest yellow hair. There's not enough young French people. Ouais, il n'y a pas suffisamment de jeunes Français. Because it's after quantity. There's lots of young French people. Ouais, il y a beaucoup de jeunes Français. Lots of the French people that Lachlan is going to meet. Beaucoup des Français. Because I'm saying the word the in my English, and when I say the word the in my English, I need to acknowledge it. I need to acknowledge it. Yeah, I need to acknowledge it. So therefore, lots of the, beaucoup de les, de and les form together to make des. Beaucoup des. Luke, what does Luke do? Luke makes videos. Luke, il fait des vidéos. It's not all the videos. So therefore, automatically, du, de la, des. Ouais, Luke, il fait des vidéos. Okay? He explains big problems to us. Il nous explique de gros problèmes. De gros, because it's a plural adjective which is going before the noun. He explains grammatical problems. Alors il explique des problèmes grammaticaux, because grammatical, but grammatical plural is going to go after problem. So therefore, because the adjective is after the noun, I go back to my normal system. Am I saying the word the? No. Am I saying the word some? In English, no. Therefore, I automatically go with du, de la, des. Good. There are beautiful hotels in London. Il y a de beaux hôtels à Londres, because beau here is plural, and it's a plural adjective which is coming before a noun, so a plural noun obviously, so therefore that means I need de. There are hotels, there are interesting hotels in London. Il y a des hôtels intéressants. You okay? You lost something? You okay?
Sí, sí, sí.
Okay, sorry, no. Okay. ¿Has perdido algo?
Sí, la tuerca del pendiente, pero muy complicado.
Mierda.
Muy complicado.
¿Este qué color?
Es blanca. No la veo. Bueno, ya encontraré otra.
Oh, no me lo siento porque tengo los ojos de mierda. Así que...
Bueno, pues nada, lo siento yo que tengas los ojos mal. Bueno, pues nada, ya encontraremos otra tuerca. Gracias, ¿eh?
Por otro lado, es guapísima.
Ah, bueno, muchas gracias. Muchas gracias.
Así
Pero
que...
ahora estoy menos guapa.
Es verdad, desafortunadamente. Gracias. Lost the back of the jewelry thing. Yeah. So, the woman likes jewelry. Alors, la femme, elle aime la bijouterie because it's general. It's general. Yeah, it's general. You know, it's general. It's general. Oui, elle aime bien la bijouterie. She's going to buy jewelry. Elle va acheter de la bijouterie because it's not general. She's not going to buy all general jewelry. She's going to buy jewelry, but it's not all jewelry. It's not a named specific quantity of jewelry. It's not a negative verb with jewelry. It's not, you know, a plural adjective with jewelry, mainly because it's singular in English, in French, pardon me. So yeah, I hope this has been useful. If you want more everyday life versions of how to use these, I can just do another video walking around talking bullshit about them. But the rules are there for what they are. The rules again, if you hear a the, use a the. If you hear a some, use a some. If you talk about the thing generally across the board, use a the. If you use a quantity, de. If you use a negative verb, use a de. If you use a plural adjective before a noun, use a de. If you using anything else, not everything else, but most of the situations, use a go back to the du, de la, de, de le. That might sound like the sum to you, but it's not strictly the same thing in English, but there you go. Okay? Be careful, there are a few little tricks. Journalists are arseholes, is what I always used to say. Nothing against journalists, it was just a time in my life where a couple of journalists had done a number on somebody I cared about. So, les journalistes sont des fils de pute. Because in this sentence, I'm talking about journalists generally. Yeah, I'm talking about journalists generally, les fils de pute, but I'm not talking about arseholes generally. There are plenty of people who are arseholes who aren't journalists. They just inform journalists when they're going to a site where children are being killed and bring a film crew with them and to kneel piously. Yeah, there's a prize arsehole, but she's not a journalist. So, in other words, they is going to come in there because it's my go-to, isn't it? Yeah, I'm not talking about all arseholes. I'm not talking about a specific quantity of arseholes. You know, there's too many arseholes. Il y a trop de cons. Yeah. Oh, look at the cakes. Look at the cakes. Good, love a bit of Covent Garden. Anyway, I hope this helps. And I feel really bad for that amazingly cool Spanish woman that lost her earring, well, the back of her earring. Anyway, best wishes, guys. If you've enjoyed the video, please click like. I'm sorry I haven't shown you too much of central London, but I'm really tired today and I've got a sore throat. I was supposed to be going to Paris and it just didn't happen, and various things. And I've been up all night stressing about something, so I look wretched, but do you know what? Let's talk about it. I've got big problems, alors j'ai de gros problèmes. There's lots of fabulous things which are happening as well. So there's lots of fantastic things. Il y a beaucoup de choses because it's a plural. There are fabulous things. Il y a des choses fabuleuses because thing is plural. And I'm not talking about all things, just, you know, yeah. So the rules just keep coming round and round and round in a circle. Okay? Take care, guys. Let me know if this was useful for you. I'd like to hear from you. Loads and loads and loads of love. Next time I do a video, I should try and get a little bit of sleep. Because Luke, you look like shit. All right, loads and loads of love. Speak soon. Take care. Bye-bye.